बनाई है?
Dhanpal, this is a buffet. There's so many dishes. Eat what you want. Don't eat too much. Because in a period of 5 years, you always have rotations, right? And I won't advise anybody who's present here except one who's a professional investor to try and invest himself. The best medium is through mutual funds. You know, if I get sick, I just take some crocin and go to sleep. But my mother and Rekha will call the doctor. Because they see I need professional help. Similarly, investing is a complex procedure and complex methodology and requires a lot of professional help and monitoring. So I think best reason is to use mutual funds. And I think the best way to invest in India is in SIPs. It may sound very boring, you know, because India is basically in a bull run, the economy itself. So if you invest at all times, you'll invest at an average point. And I think this bull market in India and Indian stocks is going to continue for I don't know how many decades. And the basic reasoning is that because the economy will grow at 7-8%. And if we have, I feel in given time India's economy will grow at double digits. And we have 4-5%, 5% inflation. With 15% growth, nominal growth, I don't see how equity valuations, you know, will not rise at 15 to 18%. Some years may be 40, some years may be negative. So I think you should invest over extended periods of time. I know it's very interesting to discuss stocks and talk stocks and say I bought this and my stock is doubler and my stock is stabler, but it may not be very profitable.
Everyone talks about the winners, no one talks about the losers, right?
Some things are best kept quiet.
So given that you touched upon this, I think both two issues. One is interest rates. Your view, is there likely risk on interest rates rising? And two, combined with that is this long-term capital gains tax which has been brought in. Both are potential deflators to equity value creation.
I don't agree that long-term capital gain is a deflator. Because the alternative sources of investment all have a higher rate of tax. See, long-term capital gains has got capital gains plus STT. Property has got 20%, debt is fully taxed. So for a person who's investing, comparatively he is not at disadvantage of investing in equity. Of course, I would have liked it very much if we had not imposed it. But I think I'll be a large payer of that tax. But you know, taxes and death, only two things of life which are sure. But I think it's not going to deter at least serious local money. Foreigners, I don't know, it could deter because a lot of them are used to not paying taxes. So I don't think long-term interest rates, I feel in India, interest rates will hover around where they are. Internationally, I don't anticipate more than 3 rate rises in America, which are anticipated. And I don't feel we'll see much inflation.
Another concern is around the whole private investment in capital expenditure, right? This is an oft-repeated thing that, you know, government is investing, private sector is not investing. What is your view and how are you seeing that impact growth and, you know?
See, Dhanpal, the increase in private investment is a process, it's not a journey. It's a journey, not a destination. So you see in 2002-03, the private sector, the total investment in the economy to GDP was about 27%. It went to as high as 34-35% in 2008. It is at similar levels today, 27-28%. I think over a period of next 3-4 years, this will improve and reach 35%. And this is not going to happen in a year, it's going to happen slowly. And see, don't forget that we made a lot of misinvestment and overinvestment between 2010 and 2014. So as capacities are used, like investment is coming in steel now, investment is coming in commercial vehicles, investment coming in a lot of chemical units. So if demand comes back, I don't think capital is a constraint. If there's return on capital, capital will always be found. So I think the process of the regeneration of or increase of private sector investment has already started. Now how fast it will take off is a matter of opinion. It is a matter difficult to judge, but it's on the upswing. Tata Steel has recently announced investment, expansion of 5 million tons. Volvo is talking of expanding its its truck capacity. A lot of Nozzle is doubling its chemical capacity. A lot of chemical capacities in India are doubling. So I don't see why it's going to be slow. It's not going to be very fast. But you can't keep an economy like India at 27% of investment of GDP for long. It's 46% in GDP. In China, it's continued for 15 years. And I think the affordable housing will give a big boost to it. So that will give a boost to cement, steel, to all other industries. And I think government is really making efforts to see that, houses which are affordable are built, both for political gain and for actual economic gain.
Another key issue is this whole banking sector, right? It's a key backer and a key kind of a development, right? It was a whole development activity driver. And with what's happening with the sector, how will you see the changes, right?
There's no problem here is banks are of the people, by the people, for the people. More for Nirav Modi, less for us. So, see, it's very unfortunate this country that we had Mrs. Gandhi as a Prime Minister. At least I feel so. Because I think she institutionalized corruption. Right? Until Shastriji was there, corruption was looked upon as a taint, as a blame. Right? I think she absolutely institutionalized it. More than that, she nationalized a bank, she nationalized insurance, she nationalized the coal industry. Now, just 1 week ago, the government has undone the nationalization of the coal industry, not by selling Coal India, but allowing the private sector to come into. I think sooner or later, as long as we have the political will, and we will get that political will, and after what's happened in these two scams, another scam, there's a wave of public opinion that is public sector banks should be sold. Now, I think nobody is going to buy them in this present state. The aviation minister just said, I was surprised that there is no bakra to buy Air India. That's how I described. As if a guy who buys Air India will be a bakra. That's how the aviation minister said. It's not me saying it. Right? So like that, there will be no bakra for buying those banks today. So unless you, consolidate the banks into 4, you go to Pedder Road, there are 14 banks or 14 nationalized banks of 14 different banks, 14 branches with the same owner. I don't know what sense it makes. You have a central bank, you have Allahabad Bank, you have Punjab National Bank, Union Bank. So I think you'll have to consolidate the banks into 3, 4, and you'll have to sell all of them. And this is going to happen according to me in the next 5 years. And I don't think there is, for a person who wants to... I can speak with that.
Yeah,
so unless and until you have, there's no dearth of capital for good projects. Tata Steel doesn't have a problem in borrowing all money. So I think despite it's good these scams have come out, and I think the NCLT is a very, very good mechanism. Or pehle sab greening hoti thi, chalta hai, chalega. What these banks would do is they would charge 18% interest to Bhushan Steel. Bhushan Steel would say, they give me the money to pay the interest, and they charge the interest. So I am concerned. So I think all that will stop, and I think better days will come for banks. As an Indian, I can only hope. I can't do anything else.
Just on a more personal note, right? As you look at, I think one of the things everyone would love to know, how do you take decisions on investments, right? What are the 3 things most critical to you when you decide on an investment?
Well, I think the most critical decision is price, is value. Right? Because, it's important what we buy. I think it's more important what price we buy. In 1999, I bought 5% of United Spirits and United Breweries for 6 crores of rupees. If I held those shares today, the value of that investment today would be 2,000 crores. Right? And everybody told me, Vijay Mallya, you can't make any money, he's a thief, his companies are never on money. But I thought you are getting 55% of India's liquor industry at a valuation of 100 crores. That means the entire liquor industry in India was being valued at 200 crores. So that was ridiculous, and I made money. I made at least 15 times my money in 3 years. So most important thing is, it's about what you buy, it's what valuation you buy. See, what I look at is, first I look at the size of the opportunity. right? Because you can grow only as much as your opportunity. Infosys could become such a large company only because of the advent of the internet and the humongous application of software. When Infosys was formed, the internet was never there. So the opportunity for Infosys expanded, multifold. I mean, Colgate can grow as much as the demand for toothpaste in India. So what's very important is the size of the opportunity. Then I think in any capitalist society, any company has to have a competitive advantage to be able to tap that opportunity. I mean, Mastech and Infosys were born on the same day. They had the same advantages, the availability of engineers in India. But look at where Infosys and what Mastech is today. So you have to look at the competitive ability. And then, there is for every entrepreneur here, there is one very, very important word, which is scalability. Written on a Maruti, when I grow up, will I be a Mercedes? So the great other, suppose I invest in, a friend of mine asked me whether I should invest in the large caps or the small caps. I said, boss, I'll invest in the small caps, which will become the large caps. And the biggest problem in scalability is opportunity, capital. Entrepreneurs don't want to give up power. And four is the nature of the business model. I mean, what is the working capital cycle? What is the capital intensity? And then the integrity of the people. And, I don't make too much paralysis analysis. I decide an investment in 1 hour in my mind. And if I think is good value and there is liquidity, I invest. And when I invest, I'm very uncertain. There is nothing sure. And a lot of investments test your patience. And you doubt, that you made a wrong investment. I made an investment in escorts. I made a very, very large investment for a period of 2 years. And everybody would ask, and I made an investment of 125 rupees. And everybody whom I would ask would say, what, escorts? Oh, those thieves, forget about them. What, that company? They are going downhill. And I bought those shares at 100 rupees. And today the price is 850 rupees. But for 2.5, I had agonizing years because I was the only buyer and everybody would sort of, say, what are you buying? What are you buying? So, and it's also a matter of conviction, patience, and luck. That's very important.
Excuse me 1 second. I want to let you know you have a little less than 10 minutes right now. Would you like to open it up to questions from the audience?
Before I do that, last question, Bhaiya, and I actually have lots more questions, but in all of this, given that this is a platform also where we're seeing a lot of young entrepreneurs using technology, digital, all of those things, buzzwords that you hear, how do you see that, right? You've seen a lot of great businesses being built. Do you see those businesses being threatened by what's happening? Do you see that those businesses adapting? How are you seeing that?
I have very negative views. So please don't mind them. I don't see those businesses being threatened. I'm worried about the emotional toll on the entrepreneurs. Because the kind of experience I have come through is the first basic problem. See, today entrepreneurship is too popular. And what is too popular is good to be with, but not always very profitable. Right? I'm speaking in an entrepreneur summit, so you don't get angry. But the question is, I get so many proposals for investments. Where is the differentiator? I am going to collect data for agriculture, someone is telling me. Okay, so what big deal about it? What is it that you are doing? Right? Second thing is, I want to use father-in-law's money. I start with a loss. I don't know what kind of entrepreneurship is this. That the greater the loss, the greater the valuation. I mean, I can't understand anything. Right? And the fact is that it's a matter of attitude. See, when I start with the idea that I can incur a loss and build a business, where are my economic efficiencies? Do I go with a mind that I must create efficiency first? And remember one thing, that the world's great businesses have never been built with investors' money. Jeff Bezos has not raised money in 17 years. If you go to the Fortune 5,000, forget the 500. Not one has been raised with investors' money. And I don't believe I have the right to be wrong and the right to be abused. I don't believe valuation of any Uber of any stock because I don't know their economic model. When I keep incurring a loss of 15 billion or 10 billion a year, means I'm subsidizing my customer. I will know my true consumer when I charge him the true price. I'm living in a capitalist society. So I believe this whole scheme of entrepreneurship with Me Too ideas and father-in-law's money, right? I think there will be, and I'm very worried not about the financial loss because, see, who's an entrepreneur? He, one, wants to do something which the world says is not possible. I'm an entrepreneur. I came to the stock market in 1985. My father said, you'll be begging in 2 years. My mother said, who will marry you? I told my mother, good, you'll have one less daughter-in-law to trouble you. So the question is that you, an entrepreneur, and see, societies need entrepreneurs. And societies can only develop with entrepreneurship is one of the important characteristics of any developed society. Right? So therefore, but you have to dream. You have to dream with your head held high, but your feet on the ground. If you dream realistically, right? And see, also is that, I don't know. I don't invest in startups, sorry. And I'm sorry if Flipkart had come to me at 50 million valuation, I would surely invest. When it was available 7 years, 8 years ago. So I don't understand these companies. Forget what Flipkart will need to become profitable. Question is if he cannot become profitable without increasing price to his customer. Right? And the question is, if he increases the price to his customer, will the customer remain? So I don't know the business model. Another stage, you look at DMart. Mr. Damani started, he was profitable in first. Right? Now the prediction, he will kill, he will die, and Flipkart will succeed. Ask any young fellow. Everything will be on the net. So I don't understand, but entrepreneurship is a great idea. But it has to be done, as I said, with feet on the ground and head held high. And you should yourself understand that let me not do something which is me too. And I will give you one advice, don't invest in any B2C company. You want to invest in B2B. Because see, B2B can be scaled up. Or invest in some parallel technology, which, in India is very difficult because you look at Cisco, it must acquire 3,000 companies in its life. So there is a culture to acquire companies there. In India, there is no culture. So I don't know, but don't hit me because I'm saying all entrepreneurs here. But these are the, another thing about entrepreneurship is, I've learned one thing in life that when you start life, you see an horizon. You feel how distant it is. But when you come to that horizon, you realize how many more there are and how near they are. So both in life and in entrepreneurship, the opportunities just open up as time passes. But I found 2-3 characteristics of entrepreneurs. One is very disturbing. The moment you give them money, and father-in-law's money, so you see the attitude, the way, the ambitions, they have set out to do A, but then A, B, C, D, E, F, all will start. Sir, if you are in a hurry, it's okay, I have all the time. If your hall booking is a constraint, I have no problem. We'll stop, otherwise I have all the time in the world.
You're on a roll, though, and wisdom is pouring out of you. So we're going to take one question. I'm going to take your question right here.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Mr. Jhunjhunwala, it's quite an honor to have you over here. A question is here. Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Question right here.
Yeah, it's right here. Mr. Jhunjhunwala, it's quite an honor to have you here in our company. I have two somewhat interrelated questions. From all the reading that I've had a chance to do, and maybe others in the audience, about your style and strategy, you have a trading book and an investing book. With regard to the investing book, the two related questions are, at any point in time, if you look back at an average, about how many holdings do you have? And then when you choose to eventually eliminate from the investment book, Usually, what might be the reason that you would choose to eliminate? Would it be valuation or something else that you can give us some insight into that would cause a trigger to eliminate, not just reduce, but eliminate eventually from the investment book? Thank you.
See, the first answer is that, see, I carry leverage, but I don't carry leverage beyond a point. So if for any reason I need to bring down my leverage, I might sell. Second is, if I have a better investment opportunity, I need capital, I might sell. I think these are the primary two reasons why I will sell an investment. Or if I feel that an investment is, horribly overvalued, and investments are like children, you don't feel like that easily, then only I sell. And the first question was? Well, at the moment, I think both in my listed book and my unlisted book, in my unlisted book, 3 investments will be 80%. Out of maybe 15 investments I've made. And in the listed book, maybe 5 investments will be 60%. Total investment must be 20, 25.